podcast is the Bar Exam Drills podcast, and we had the Bar Study Motivation podcast, but I was thinking like instead of waiting for people who passed every result, we could do this weekly where we scour the internet for questions, and Brandon and I will do our best to answer them. Bolt Law School, my mentor and former boss, Denise Howell, that's her alma mater, went there. Super prestigious school in the sense that it's top 10 and it's a public
It's
school.
literally number 10.
Okay. Nice. My good friend, who may come in, he's a partner now. Shout out to Peter Liu. He does workers' comp. I remember when he was going through bar prep, he was telling me that criminal procedure, and this was a long time ago when he finished law school. He finished in 2011, so he took that bar exam. Well, criminal procedure for him was an elective, and most students would not take that course because it would just bring down their GPA, impacting scholarships, whatever. And it was like, what's the point of taking that? I don't want it to ruin, I'll just pick it up in bar prep. At that time, not a lot of schools were making students take criminal procedure, which was this bar course. And now here we see it happening with property law.
Actually, criminal procedure is not required on my school either. If it was on the bar, I was taking it. So there was no question about that. But it wasn't required either. Criminal law was. But my logic was they give you a semester to learn one topic of law. How do I plan to learn an entire topic of, which is, anywhere from 13 to 14 weeks depending on your school. So it's 13 to 14 weeks to learn an entire topic. How do I plan to learn a new entire topic in, depending on your study schedule, 6 to 8 weeks on top of refreshing everything I know? It just didn't seem logical. And it's interesting that they're going to remove property because, again, it's a subject tested on the MBE, and you're basically setting people up to fail that way. Every school talks about how important bar exam scores are and passing the bar the first time and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't teach them the subjects,
Right. My school, we had this kind of specific class that we had to take that didn't have it. It was called logic and advocacy. So we talked about like formal and informal logic, like fallacies of ad hominem attacks, like you're not really arguing, you're just kind of calling them names, So it's very important to being a lawyer and forming arguments, right? Good, sound arguments that you're not having these fallacies or you're kind of like, yeah, but how am I supposed to IRAC this? Because she was trying to, and my professor who, I miss dearly, and he was like really awesome, Professor Johnson, he really went off on the whole class. I don't think but he just said, this isn't a trade school where we just train you to and think like a lawyer, which made perfect sense, Going to your argument where it's like, what else are we here for if not to learn and pass the bar and become licensed attorneys? But it's kind of like this, to me, the way, hearing both sides, it's like law school is this bigger thing where you learn about something and then about, legal arguments and the law and the way things work and policy. And then Professor Johnson said this too, is something that you kind of learn at the end to fine tune what you need to get more specific to passing the exam.
If we're not touching on the topics that are essential to passing, and then at the same time teaching people, again, the critical thinking skills needed to be a lawyer, and it goes back to law schools are not changing with the time. Like the study habits, rote memorization is not the method that kids are learning these days. I'm kind of at this weird interplay where I'm like a latter end of the millennial age. So I come at this point where like I was taught to do rote memorization because that's what school did. And at the same time, though, I've also seen that it's not really effective. So I'm like, that's not helpful too. So, but kids aren't learning the same way. And it goes back to the bar exam hasn't changed in California since implementation, basically. Like the structure of it all. I don't know if any attorney is given a fact pattern in life. Let's say like, here's my fact pattern. Can you just name off the law to help me do this? No, you go online, you go into your resources, whatever they may be, for example, Westlaw, and you try to figure out what's the best course of action. The law and the bar exam and how we teach it is not really relevant to, I think, how it's practiced. So I have some disconnect with that too. My opinions about that a little. I think if we're not teaching the legal writing, the application of the law, and just the general principles, then law schools are failing there. If you're not teaching someone constitutional criminal procedure, literally a topic that is essential to if you're going to be a criminal defense attorney. For example, in California, there is no independent state basis for suppression of evidence and a motion to suppress. It's all based on Fourth Amendment. So if I don't know the Fourth Amendment, if I don't know that type of stuff, then school, I'm not familiar. When I take the bar, when I try to practice law, I'm literally going to learn this subject brand new. Not that law school makes you an effort, but you go to it, you look at it and say, okay, I remember this, kind of remember this. I can build this up again. So it's an interesting thing.
Berkeley does this where property isn't required and it's an elective. Are most people going to take it anyways? For your school, what happened? Did most people take criminal procedure? Because with my friend, Peter Liu, he didn't take criminal. Especially in the higher tier schools, it's not required criminal procedure. So,
I was in cohorts because my law program was kind of an experiment. It was the first ABA-approved hybrid program. And there was about 96 of us. And I'd say probably half took criminal procedure and the other half did.
Wow.
Because there was half of us were in that mindset of, this is on the bar exam, we're going to learn it. And the other half are like, right. And for me, like I said, I'm like, I'm not trying to learn topics new again once I start bar prepping. That was my mindset. So I was very big on taking it. And here's an interesting thing. I felt like on this past bar exam, real property and landlord-tenant stuff came up on the essays. And I'm like, literally, that entire subject is going to be taken out of law school for these people. So they're going to have to walk. So what if these people are just learned it and they walk into this and they're like, wait a minute, I don't know anything about this. Or what's going to happen when they're on the MBEs and like, I learned this stuff for the last 4 weeks and I kind of just remember these words look familiar. What happens then?
Title of the post says, what's the timeline on bar prep for February if you're employed full-time? To the end, to skip to the last question, you could tell these are some of my reading shortcuts. Should I be starting that early or should I wait until after Christmas? Their family's annoyed with them studying at Christmas. Your take, Brandon?
There's no problem with starting before Christmas, but definitely take off time around Christmas. That's my first thing. I mean, enjoy the holidays. So I found that I failed in November of 2018, and I was like, okay, cool. I think I took a week off after that, and I did start early December, and then when Christmas time came around, I took a week off, and then I picked up again, I think January 1st, and that's when I took off really focusing on it, because it wasn't helpful to be stressing out during the holidays when I wanted to be with my family. Failing the bar exam for me, I was like, I totally didn't care, but not because I didn't care, because I didn't have expectations of it. I was like, if I passed, I passed. If I failed, I failed. If I failed, I just take it again. But I would say starting in January is more than enough, even working full time. You can do a refresher in December. I would say start refreshing in December, maybe reviewing some outlines to kind of just make sure you're familiar with the topics again, but really grinding down in January is a good start, even working full time.
So because this is a bar exam drills podcast, the system that I came up with, a small set of questions, multiple choice questions, licensed from the NCBEX, and doing those is like huge, because you can do them as soon as possible. And the way the system works is there's a constant maintenance of what you've learned going forward. So you could start right now and just keep working through your levels in the app. It doesn't matter. The earlier you start, the better.
Right.
So, and you're not going to get burned out. It's not like
rote memorization.
You're really working through these, right? I think the next question that is not really written in here, but a lot of people have that I talked to is, what do you think, Brandon, about working full-time and bar prep? I know that you stopped 6 weeks before, right?
Right, and I was lucky enough to do that. So initially, like I said, I started in December reviewing outlines, and I was working full-time, so I was working, about 8.5, 9 hours a day. I'd go to the gym after, and I'd go home and study for 2-3 hours a night. And when I say studying, at this point, it was very cursory. I was just literally reviewing outlines because I hadn't touched a bar subject since I took the bar. Because I was of this mindset, I'm going to enjoy life until I find out if I passed or failed. So I hadn't touched anything. So I was like, all right, let's just kind of refresh. It was, for me, the outlines were to refresh. And it was great. It was perfect. It can be done. You just have to be very disciplined. Like I said, I had a study plan before I met you, before I went over to doing it how the bar exam drills are. I was working on my own study plan. I was very disciplined, and it was helping me in the sense that I was getting back into the groove of it. So you can do this working full time. It's just you got to be disciplined with yourself. And,
like Brianna, she had 3 hours per day, but she was disciplined in those 3 hours. Like nothing was going to take away from those 3 hours.
Because you can have 8 hours a day, but if you're only really doing stuff for 3 hours a day, what was the point?
Right.
And that's it too. It comes down to discipline. Because if you're gonna sit there for 8 hours studying for 6 weeks and really only do 3 hours of work, you might as well have made some money and just study 3 hours consistently at night.
Exactly. Nice.
And so it's all relative to who you are and what you're doing. It's not impossible. It's just got to be disciplined, no matter how you're doing it. Like I said, I took 6 weeks off. The first time I took 8 weeks off, too much time. This last time I took 6 weeks off, and it felt perfect. I probably could have done with 4. I think you recommended I do 4. I think I probably could have done 4. When I took the 6 weeks, I was just trying to overplan. But I think even I think the person says they have 2 weeks off before the exam, and I think if they're prepping from December and then those last 2 weeks in February, they're able to just focus on it. I mean, they'll be set.
Yeah, I agree. A week before, I've seen and people pass. It's really about. I hate to keep on bringing up Gary Vaynerchuk, but there's this thing about self-awareness and trying to figure out what you are capable of, right? Like being self-aware. Like don't come up with these crazy things like that like you've never done it in the past, so don't try and do it now in the future, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Like I took a bar prep course. It was more to introduce you to the bar exam, show you the essays. You did some fake ones, you did some real ones, but they weren't graded hard. They were just like, this is what you did wrong and right kind of thing. So it was a pass-fail class. And the book said, don't change your habits. If you drink coffee, don't decide during bar prep, I'm not going to drink coffee. Keep drinking your coffee. If you work out regularly, make sure you make time to work out, even if it's just half an hour. Because when you change these instances in your life, when you're changing your structure, you adversely affect yourself. If you didn't do rote memorization, don't do rote memorization. Apply what you did in law school to studying the bar. But if you're more of a practical person or you like, do whatever you need to do, but don't change your habits then. Now, if you want to stop drinking coffee after the bar exam, by all means do it.
Right.
But if you're addicted to caffeine, not the time to change your life. Right. Not the time.
Okay, next question. This is just kind of a quick kind of question, and we'll wrap up because we're kind of running out of time. So as far as Bar Prep podcast, there's not really that much out there. Like this person's specifically asking, there's a couple podcasts out there that have more of a motivation kind of thing, which is the podcast that we have, Bar Study Motivation Podcast. There is some podcasts that go technically into each section of the exam, what to do, stuff like that. This person is asking about actual areas of law. So they're I think they're trying to, like their videos or, substantive videos, how they're trying to listen to them in a podcast form, but kind of passively. So for me, I don't know where they were from, but they were kind of circulated around my law school. And they were these MP3s. They were by this guy named Dressler, Sum and Substance. And they would just kind of be like this audio kind of book of just talking about, the cases in criminal procedure. We're getting back to criminal procedure again. And if you look up Dressler, he does a lot of the amicus briefs for these landmark cases and stuff. And he's this big academic scholar in law. So that might help. And these were free from my law school library. So Sum and Substance and, a lot of the stuff. And it would go in a different subject. I'm not sure. I'm not too up to date, but I know Themis and Barbary, they have their lectures on an app now. So maybe if you could turn off the screen and have them play in your ears while you're working out or driving or whatever, that might be more of an on-point thing. Do you have any experience with that?
Yeah, so I had Kaplan that you could do the mobile stuff and the audio only. I can tell you one thing though, probably not gonna help.
I mean, I do want to say that I agree with you there, but I just kind of want to.
I don't want to,
This person's looking for it, and I don't want to brush them off and say it's not gonna help you.
The Sum and Substance is by West Academic now, so I'm pretty sure you could get it through a subscription. Just to give that person some advice, based on what you said.
I have enough CDs, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
I don't even have a CD player drive.
Like I said, I don't want to bust anyone's bubble, but or burst anyone's bubble, but probably not going to help in the sense that passive studying like that is not going to teach you the substance of law. Because A, you're probably going to zone out, and B, if you're trying to listen to it on audio, it means you're doing something else.
Right.
Your attention's drawn somewhere else. That's how we listen to music, and I can tell you 10 songs can play, and I won't be able to name any of the songs that played because I wasn't focusing on them. And here's the example. Trying to learn constitutional First Amendment law would be like next to impossible doing that. If I was trying to passively learn that, I mean, I would just never have learned it. So.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Brandon, for that. To the audience, I'm sorry I kind of wussed out and didn't say what I should have, like Brandon did, is that it's really not going to be that helpful. So we're in the final stretch of the podcast here in the first episode. I have a couple things that I saw that were kind of cool. So I was listening to the new one of the latest Joe Rogan experience, and he interviews Ed Norton. At around 38 minutes, I have it on the screenshot there. They talked about the Gracie family and jiu-jitsu, and I kind of do you know a lot about the Gracie family?
Well, everyone who does jiu-jitsu knows about the Gracie family.
Right.
To what extent we all believe the Gracie hype is variable. The Gracies they're a good family. They're a hardworking family. They helped bring the sport to prominence, definitely.
So if you, Brandon, or anybody else in the audience wants to listen, at around 38 minutes of this YouTube video, Ed Norton and Joe Rogan started talking about the Gracie family and did something in Japan, and they kind of came over with this jiu-jitsu. And
just summarize it real fast. But the Gracies are not big people. I mean, they weren't, they were very thin. So judo requires strength and grip. I can't do these certain chokes. I can't do these certain throws. It's just not. Carlos did was develop it for smaller guys, for skinnier guys, for people with less muscle mass. And Helio, he taught it to Helio, and Helio kind of brought it to prominence, and they kept teaching it. And so there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it there. And then they taught it to their kids, and then came to prominence with the UFC 1 when
they were talking about he's like 170 pounds. He wasn't that big, and he's beating up everyone, right? Not beating, but winning,
He's beating them up. I mean, if people don't realize, one of the things people like, and this is like the UFC, casuals, they want to see punching and stuff like that. But I'm like, you can punch me all day long. If I catch you in a choke, you're going to go out, and then, God forbid, I'm psycho, I'm going to kill you. It's funny people say that, but he could have killed any one of those people in a heartbeat.
Well, I kind of posit this because in the startup kind of world, they constantly ask you, what is your superpower? What is your unfair advantage? What makes you better than Barbary, Adaptabar, Kaplan? I'm like the smaller Gracie, in my opinion. And I'm not that smart, and I shouldn't have went to law school, and I, don't really have a legal mind. So coming up with this system is kind of like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, in my opinion. It comes at it from a different angle for the smaller guy. And that might seem kind of insulting, but I am the smallest. Like, everyone towers above me in terms of legal thought. So what I'm saying is I've come up with this system, and I think from this system, it will be the equalizer where you can pass the bar exam. Super long-winded story, but I thought it was fun.
It's true, though. That's the Gracies did so well, and that's what changes the game. Because to your point, though, now you're not going to see any fighter who doesn't know some jiu-jitsu, because the Gracies changed the game, and that's all it takes. And it was a process, From UFC 1, I think, was 1983, and now we're in 2019. I would say to gain the prominence, it took probably 20 years that it deserved. It took, years, over 20 years to gain the prominence that jiu-jitsu deserved. But, that's the long game.
Right. And how would you change this process of studying for the bar exam? It comes through doing something different.
And that's exactly it. And this is something you always pointed out to me, the bar exam is 50% MBE. But that's on anything. Like, UBE is 50% MBE. California is 50% MBE. But there's this whole entire focus on the essay portion, the PT portion. Even though collectively, those PT and essays count for the entire MBE. So these parts alone don't weigh more than the MBE, but yet there's such a focus on them.
This is a subject I could talk to for hours, hours and hours. But then it comes back to the essays are tested on what the same law is of the MBEs. So then you're even looking at even higher of a percentage than half.
I sent you the link a little while ago, but if you don't mind me reading, I want to read the UBE real quick.
Sure.
So UBE test is a multi-state performance test. 290 items, 3 hours. It's 2 MPTs, and it's just a case file. I think everyone's familiar with the PT test. test. So then you have the MBEs, right? 200 questions, 6 hours, contracts, constitutional law, and criminal procedure, evidence, real property, tort, and civil. And it's all federal though. Evidence and civil are federal. Then you go to the multi-state essay exam, and it's the 7 MBE topics right there. Already 7 MBE topics. Then conflicts of laws, family law, UCC, Article 9, and trust and estates. But it's already the 7, so you have a total of what? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, top 12, maybe 13 if you look at trust and estates as separate topics. Let's just say 12, but you already mastered 7 by doing them.
Right.
You already
right. And you know, you said UCC, it's even more than that because you said UCC, we got that on the MBEs. There's just so much. And then the PTs, a lot of times it's just one of the MBE subjects, a lot of times. And you have 2 PTs. If you're a contracts wizard and you get a PT, you're going to write the PT a lot better because under that time constraint, you're going to know what's going on.
Yeah, I love on the PTs how they'll give you like, you know, a First Amendment argument, but they'll change it to like some random state name, but it's like still the same.
Right.
They'll give you these random made up cases and you're just like, this is exactly the same thing. So, and that's it. If you can do, it all rolls over and it all becomes one.
This next screenshot I took was of this like controversy in the last couple days. And I guess, I don't know Fortnite, but I know you do, Brandon, because you play with your son. I used to play Counter-Strike back in like way a long time ago, but there was this like aimbot where it would help you aim, you know, and you could shoot people through walls and stuff like that. And so this guy, from what I'm gathering from talking with you, is this guy was a really famous, really good, and what happened was he was demonstrating this hack not to actually win and beat people unfairly, but to like for content, you know, to show other people what it could do and, you know, like commentary. They ended up banning him from the game in totality. He could just never play this game ever again, which people are saying is harsh. My TLDR for the audience.
So that's a lot of is true. That's basically what happened. So the FaZe clan in Fortnite is they're a big gaming clan. The problem is they're content creators, and people forget this too. He's an amazing gamer. He is phenomenal. I think he's played in the top Fortnite competitions. I think he was in the World Cup. I think he qualified for it. And just to give you some idea of what the World Cup was, it was a $3 million cash prize cup, and you were guaranteed $50,000 just to compete if you made it to competing in. So he's 17 years old making this kind of money. Not to even consider the ad revenue he makes, a lot of stuff. He apologized. He felt bad. You know, he's a 17-year-old kid. He's upset by this. This is his life. This is what he thought he was doing as a career. And he said, make sure you read the terms and service agreement for Fortnite. Be aware of that. You know, and it brings over this crossover into law. It's like we have these minors who are holding accountable as adults. Right. We're holding this 17-year-old accountable to the terms and service agreement of an adult.
Right.
Who themselves probably don't ever read it. And at the same time, know what he's doing. He was using it for content. He even said that. And I guess their concern is like, well, how do we know he didn't use it to get into the World Cup? And I get it. I understand that. They're content creators, and so how do we distinguish these content creators from these, you know, these professional gamers? And it's kind of funny because, you know, say professional gamer because back in the day, he told us we could never make a living doing that, and these kids have all proved us wrong.
Right.
And just so you know, my son plays Counter-Strike still. Sad, I feel bad for the kid because he's funny to watch. He has an older brother who's part of FaZe, and they're funny, and they're content creators, but they're true gamers. So, you know, I hope he gets his ban removed because I enjoy watching him play.
How I thought this was related to law, you made it related to law in terms of contracting, and then minor as an incapacity, right? The rule is if you're a minor, voidable at the minor's election. So what I thought was a legal angle on this is the fiduciary duty of the company. So I'm not sure what the status is of the Fortnite, the company that runs Fortnite, and are they publicly traded, a board of directors and stuff, and shareholders? If there is, right, the implication for business associations is you have a fiduciary duty to maximize profit. So here we have a user that is showing the capabilities of a hackbot, which would take away from the profits of the company. And therefore, it becomes a fiduciary duty of whoever's in control of banning and stuff like that to actually ban him, because he is, by doing that podcast, he has created content for his 2 million viewers, but the user of the game, which is probably way more than 2 million,
Definitely.
He's eroded at that profitability that is, and at the game itself. So they are justified in what they're doing, to ban him.
So to play devil's advocate, just for fun, at the same time, though, the FaZe clan has become so prominent in the gaming industry that they are one of the main people. They've helped build up Fortnite too. So at what point is it also a good business decision? Because they're now denying a high-end player who again has 2 million viewers. Literally, this kid was so popular. There was a meme between him and his brother because his brother would always go, "Jarvis, you're insane, bro." And they started making memes with the brother's face saying the word Jarvis and a spelling bee, and it would say, "It's insane, bro." So these guys have helped create like a little fan base in and of themselves. So it's like, are they also considering the business aspect in the sense that you're banning a guy with 2 million YouTube fans who literally streams to 2 million people your game?
Right.
Like your people log in to watch him literally play this video game. Is that a good business decision?
Right. I'm kind of nerding out here, but every time you talk about the duty of care, underneath you should automatically bring up the business judgment rule.
Mm-hmm.
And so this would be a business judgment rule defense. And yours is a counter to that defense is that isn't a good business judgment decision because you're banning this person that's a major contributor to the success of Fortnite, right? So I thought this would be a fun way to end this first episode. And, Brandon's got a lot of lawyering stuff to do and I have stuff to do in working with the app. So thanks everyone for tuning in and I'll gather up more questions. And if you have any specific questions for any of the podcasts that we do, feel free to email us. I'll put the emails in the bottom third here in the description. And we could answer questions directly instead of going to the internet to find these questions for you.
That'll make it better for people too, because sometimes we get these questions that are super vague in general. If you're looking for some specific content, it'll help us get there.
Okay, so thanks everyone. See you next week.
Have a good week.